Frank, Barry and I appreciate you being on because I know you're busy and you don't generally do this, but we appreciate it. You doing okay?
I'm doing a lot better than you, Coach Sanderson. You've had to deal with Barry your whole life.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm gonna tell you something. And I'm not, you know me. I don't really blow much smoke. I just that's what's got me in trouble a lot of times. But Frank Martin, for people that don't know, came from Kansas State, did a terrific job out there, and changed over to the SEC, and has had enough patience, and he doesn't have a lot, and I don't either, to get this team to better than it was. I'm not going to sit here and brag on records and all because he don't want to hear it, and I don't blame him. But they have gotten much better gradually, because he's a guy who works at it, knows what he's doing. And I will say this to you, where he a little bit not like me, but a lot of confrontations sometimes, but the players care a lot about him, and they care a lot about him when they get through, more so than when they're playing for him. But talk a little bit about this basketball team. I don't care about the success particularly as I do about the players that you have and the patience you've had to try to get this thing. And believe you me, and I know it's not to the top yet because you still got games to play, but it has gotten better.
Absolutely, Coach. It's I just told someone yesterday that when you're on Saturday, we're in the middle of that Vanderbilt game. Being 14-0 didn't help us win that game. It had nothing to do with getting to 15. It's about those guys and the path that they've been on for the last 3 years, and their willingness to grow and to take on challenges. And you fail sometimes, and when we have failed, they don't start blaming each other, and they try to figure out what do I need to do to help us win, and that's created a bond within our guys that's fun to be around. Can we win 16 tonight or Saturday or next week? I have no idea, nor do I care to spend any emotion or energy thinking about that.
Yeah,
we have a duty to each other to come out every day and do the best we can. And Coach, I grew up as a young coach watching your teams play, and that's what I've always strived to do. I remember watching teams like yours that go out there, and every time I watched them play, they played hard. And that's what I've always aspired to do. That's one of the only things we really control, is how our guys go out and play every single time they play.
Well, they do that. Barry?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that, Coach. You do remind me, and don't take this as an insult, but you do remind me a lot of my dad as far as your coaching style. People say, you can't coach that way anymore. That's a bunch of crap. Kids want to be coached. They want to be made to play hard. But just talk about that, the type of kids. Now, you can coach them that way. You just have to be consistent, but you have to love them. But then also talk about how did you have patience? Because I'll be honest, I'll say this. When you took the job, it was at rock bottom. It was open for a reason. How did you maintain the patience to build this thing day to day to day to get it to where it is now?
Yeah, it's I'll answer the second part first. The patience to get to where we're at today was not easy.
Yeah.
But it's been good for me. I've learned a lot. I've grown as a man. I've grown as a father. I'm a better teacher than I was 4 years ago. I'm actually more patient than I was 4 years ago, because at the end of the day, that first year, we knew as coaches, we couldn't tell our players this, that we weren't good enough. So we couldn't be wrapped up in winning. We had to be wrapped up in teaching. And that was hard, because as competitors, none of us likes to lose. And none of us ever goes into a game saying, well, we can't win. No, you have to figure out a way to go play the game so you can win on that night. And so I'm better for it. That patience has helped me coach this team this year, because I know how hard those kids have worked and how they've stayed the course for 4 years. And as far as the kids in today's day and age, The people that are different are the adults. Kids are
Good
still
boy.
kids. Kids are still. When I was 15, I didn't want to lift weights. I didn't want to run sprints. I didn't want to do homework. But I had adults in my life that demanded that I do all those things. And to this day, when I go back home, I go thank the teachers that made it hard on me. I never go back and thank the ones that just pushed me through. And it's kids are still kids. They don't change. It's us adults that change. We're the ones that become less demanding of kids. Kids want to make sure, every kid wants to succeed. They want to make sure that you're genuine with the way you're helping them. That what your concern is, that they're best. And when you convince them that you're in it with them, then kids will do whatever you ask them to do and knock down whatever wall you put in front of them. That's kind of my view on education, and the one I'm going to stick with. It's the only one that's ever worked for me.
That.
Frank, I don't really want you to compare the SEC to the Big 12 as far as teams that are better. I would like for you to compare style. Do the majority of the teams shoot more threes or run better, or not better, but run more? Talk a little bit about the style that you had to get used to, or you may not have had to get used to it. I mean, it may be the same of the Big 12 versus SEC.
I think they were very similar.
Okay.
I think they're both tremendous athletes, very athletic. The games are up and down, hard matchups. I'll tell you where they're kind of different. The guards in the SEC are much bigger and more athletic.
Okay.
That's my first year in the league. Our guards were 5'9", 5'9", and every guard we played against was 6'4" and 6'5".
Yeah.
And that's a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, it is.
And you know, at K-State, we won a bunch of games with a 5'11" and a 6-foot guard.
Right.
I after being through this league, I think it's your guards have to be big because the ones you play against here are so big and so athletic. But I think both conferences get overshadowed because of their football, but both conferences have shown. If you combine, if you look up and down for the last 10 years, I don't know these numbers, but I'm willing to bet that no two conferences have put more pros in the NBA than the SEC and the Big 12. That's the level of talent that both leagues have.
You know, I wanted to ask you about I'm not going to get into it long because I know Barry's got some, about the rules. The hand, which I can't particularly, they keep saying it's going to get itself better. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. As far as, you know, you got to do a lot of dribble driving. If I was coaching, I'd dribble drive and play zone. But you know, a little bit about that, and I'm going to make this statement, and you're going to think I'm really crazy. You know, we're trying to get the scores up. We're trying to get higher scores and more activity of play. I think one of the things that hurt the scores is the 3-point shot. And by that I mean, I'm not advocating do away with them. I'm saying that we shoot so many bad ones that we never get to 2 buckets. And I think the 3-point shot in a lot of cases has lowered the score more so than raised them.
I tell you where it's hurt us. It's hurt us in grassroots because nobody posts up anymore. We're one of the few teams that still post up.
Yeah.
It's the game's played at the rim. No one's ever going to convince me that the further away from the rim you play offense, the better your team is. I have a tough time with that one. The game's played at the rim. You got to post up close to the rim. You got to score layups as many as you can. That allows you to shoot free throws, and the team that shoots the most free throws usually wins. That's
right.
It's kind of the way I've learned the game and the way I view it. I think the 3-point line should be pushed further back. I really do. I mean, the guys that are good shooters, they will make them from 22, 23 feet.
Yeah.
The ones that are not, if they let them shoot it, they're going to continue to miss from that distance.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to push the line further back. I think that's how you help scoring.
Frank, I want to go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the one thing, and I'm kind of off the wall. We got to make the court wider. There's not enough space. There's no room between the 3-point line and the sideline, on the sideline. So there's no space.
Yes,
we got to make the court wider so we can pull players further away from the rim.
Okay, good.
We're talking with Frank Martin, the head coach for the undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks. I think there's only 2 teams in the men's South Carolina SMU. Frank, I was at your Vanderbilt game. You had a great crowd over there. And I want to talk to you about one of your players. Everybody knows Thornwell, but P.J. Dozier, a kid from Columbia. I think it was a great get. You know, it would have been easy for him to say, hey, I had the other Doziers that were there. I'm going to go somewhere else. But I actually saw that kid. He missed a wide open layup, and I think you turned to your staff and said, maybe it's too big for him right now. And then all of a sudden, the kid grew up within the game. I think you may have taken him out. But he comes back and makes 2 or 3 unbelievable plays, a reverse layup, a pull-up in the lane. I actually watched that kid grow up within a game. Just kind of talk about P.J., who was a McDonald's All-American, who will take the court, obviously, tonight against Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. P.J.'s a stud of a kid. He is an unbelievable kid. And the fact that he came to us because he wanted me to coach him. He didn't come to us because it was going to be easy. He lived it. He came in, watched us practice. He saw us play, sat behind the bench. So he knows how we do business. And he came to us because he wanted that. He felt he needed structure, and he needed guidance, and he needed pushing and prodding and pulling to help him continue to grow. And now that he's here, it's my duty to keep my word that I'm going to coach him. And that's the confidence that we have for one another. Well, you put him in that moment, and when he had an opportunity to make a play, and he just nonchalanted it and didn't make it. And that's when that conversation took place on the bench. That is me challenging a young person so I can see how he responds. So I have a better feel for what he likes and doesn't like. We have to understand our players so we know how to motivate him and teach him. Well, 2 seconds later, I put him back in the game. And not only did I put him in the game, the next time down, we called a number that's for him. And I did that on purpose. That was I wanted to see how he handled being challenged by people that believe in him. That's the biggest. When we're challenged by people on the outside, some people don't care because that's irrelevant. When you're challenged by people that have confidence and trust in you, how you handle that speaks volumes. And he handled that like a champ, and exactly what you said, Barry, made three plays in a row that created the separation that helped us get.
Frank, we appreciate so much you being on. I apologize to you for Barry calling you and asking you to do so because you're such a nice guy. You did so. I kind of hesitated. He told me he was going to call you. I said, I'm not sure you need to do that on game day.
Hey, we had Andy Kennedy on last week, Frank, and they won. He came on game day, so I figured if Andy would do it, you would do it, right?
You guys ever need me for anything, I'd be more than happy. I'm surprised Andy didn't do it during the game.
Well, but before we let you go, one last question. Just kind of talk about what you see with Alabama when you watch them on tape, and just for a second talk about tonight's game.
Yeah, it's they've got an experienced team. They've got guys that played a lot of games, so they don't run away from the moment. And the other part to that